Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. All right, so we will continue then. Mr. Cullen has a point of order. Start with that, Mr. Cullen.
Just very brief, just before we get into this, for some logistics. Second, just because, and this is through you to the researchers, we're going to be getting into, particularly on shale gas and some of these other technologies that I would suspect most committee members don't know a great deal about. It may be helpful if we had some, I know folks are busy, but some more depth in terms of the preparatory notes about some of the industries we're about to go into. I think it's going to help committee members a lot as we get the witnesses in front of us. We had this when we were doing the offshore, but the notes that we received for today speculated some questions, but if there could be a bit more substantive about some of the technical aspects of industry and the state of development right now, shale gas being a good example, but some of the things that these hearings are going to go into are going to be quite technical in nature, and we're going to have technical witnesses. And sometimes for committee members, you fly blind if you don't have something backing it up. I don't know, if David, or if I'm missing something that has been given out to committee members prior.
We go to the second presenter now by video conference from Victoria, British Columbia. As an individual, Ben Parfitt. Go ahead for between 5 and 7 minutes, please, with your presentation.
Thank you very much for having me, and good morning. My name is Ben Parfitt, and I am a writer and researcher based in Victoria, British Columbia. Recently, I authored a report for the program on water issues at the Munk School of Global Affairs called Fracture Lines: Will Canada's Water Be Protected in the Rush to Develop Shale Gas? The report was released in mid-October at a conference at which officials from Natural Resources Canada, the natural gas industry, as well as professional hydrologists and geologists attended and spoke. I am currently researching a report for the BC office of the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives that will examine the increasing water demands and power needs in the province's expanding natural gas sector. As all of you have heard, a significant increase in development of unconventional shale gas resources is underway in Canada and is at its forefront in British Columbia. So the province offers a taste of what may be coming down the pipe, as it were, elsewhere in the country. British Columbia, as you may know, has two major shale gas zones situated in the northeast of the province. The southernmost of those zones is known as the Montney Basin and is in proximity to the communities of Fort St. John and Dawson Creek. The Horn River Basin is far to the north and centered around the community of Fort Nelson. Most people in the province live 1,000 or more kilometers away from these zones and have little understanding of the extent of industry activities, including industry water usage. I should add here that this is a very different situation from what may apply in the province of Quebec as the Utica shale in that province is developed. Shale gas production is highly energy intensive, and much of its energy intensity is inextricably caught up in the use of water, which is pumped underground in large volumes to fracture or create cracks in tightly bound shale formations. During my research, I obtained information from BC's energy regulator, the Oil and Gas Commission, on water assignments to the natural gas industry. The information showed that as of April 2010, the OGC had issued energy companies approvals to divert water from 540 different points on creeks, rivers, lakes, and reservoirs in the northeast of the province. If the maximum volume of water assigned to energy companies under those permits was used in a single day, it would exceed by 2 times the daily water usage by all residents and businesses in Victoria combined. But this only scratches the surface of what water is being used. Companies such as Encana and Apache Canada now pump water from deep saline aquifers in the Horn River Basin to complete their fracking operations. Others draw water from near-surface freshwater aquifers. Others obtain water from private landowners' wells or burrow pits, and still others are building massive burrow pits, some more than a half-kilometer long by 200 meters wide by 13 meters deep, that are intended to infill naturally from near-surface waters in the surrounding muskeg. Nowhere is information on all water assignments or water takings gathered into one place for the public. a situation common to other Canadian provinces. This is troubling because these are early days yet for shale gas exploration and development, yet we know the industry is setting records for water usage. At just one well site between January and April of this year in the Two Island Lake area in the Horn River Basin, roughly 900,000 cubic meters of fresh water was used to set a world record for fracking operations at a single multi-well pad. Requests for information that your committee has filed with Encana, moreover, will, I believe, show that that record has subsequently been broken in the Horn River Basin. As the committee may also know, the Peace River, its major tributaries, and many other waterways overlaying the Montney Shale resource were also in the midst of a drought zone this year. Yet evidence I have obtained from the Oil and Gas Commission shows that fracking companies received substantial increases in water taking approvals from the energy regulator despite record low water levels in the region. It is important to note that the Peace and its tributaries form part of a vast water system that crosses provincial and territorial boundaries and which the federal government could and ought to be playing a role. Of great concern, information made available to the general public by the Oil and Gas Commission has downplayed the industry's increasing needs for water, and on at least one occasion, the energy regulator has failed to disclose significant water withdrawals by fracking companies to a British Columbia First Nation that formally requested information on water takings within its territory, which is covered by Treaty 8. I would like to suggest that as shale gas exploration and development intensifies, there is a pressing need to ensure that both the federal and provincial governments act honorably with First Nations, as is their legal duty. A key element to acting honorably is to disclose information which the provincial governments have or ought to have on water assignments and water withdrawals. In interviews with professional geologists, hydrologists, and legal experts, I concluded that both the information gathered on water assignments and the powers to issue water approvals ought properly to rest with provincial environmental regulators, not energy industry regulators, if the primary objective is to ensure safe, renewable supplies of water and sustainable water use. But do governments have all of the information that they ought to be reasonably expected to be able to provide? In my Fracture Lines report, it is noted that Natural Resources Canada, through the Geological Survey, is in the midst of analyzing and characterizing 30 key aquifers, mostly in southern Canada, some of which overlay shale formations. But this work is well behind, as respected scientific bodies such as the Council of Canadian Academies have noted. This is why in the Fracture Lines report, the first recommendation made is for the federal and provincial governments in collaboration with the fracking industry to immediately fund studies of all aquifers prior to shale gas exploration or sustained hydraulic fracturing. I would be happy to answer questions about the other recommendations in that report that address other aspects of water usage and wastewater treatment and disposal in the fracking industry. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parfitt.